Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sengel.
Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joe Sengel. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Megan Hibbard. Are you fired up on this Monday?
Fired up.
What day is it? What episode is it?
Yeah, it's episode 251, and it is the end of April 24th.
On our way to our next 250,000 podcast episodes.
There you go.
250,000 sounds like a lot. We've done 250 episodes. Now it's 251. We're talking about preparation in the month of April.
Yes.
We're talking about a lot of topics: preparation for your taxes, preparation for special days and holidays, preparation for what else? Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of topics.
A lot of topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of preparedness.
Yeah, a lot of preparedness. Today is one of the episodes that makes me a little nervous.
Yes. So today we are going to be asking you different questions that you have not seen the answer or the questions ahead of time.
Yep, I just got these handed to me literally a minute before the episode went live.
Yep.
And so hopefully, are you going to play Stump Joe? Is that what this
We'll
is?
see. Yeah. So they're
Stump Joe.
all questions around preparedness. So how to prepare in general about finances.
Okay.
So
Are these questions asked by
yes. So
podcast listeners?
These are questions asked from people that have attended events of ours.
Okay, great.
So a myriad of people from different locations. I pulled them from different.
Yeah, we use a way to do Q&A, and there's no way I can get to all of them when I'm at a live event. So we're going to answer some of the questions that I wasn't able to get to.
Yep.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So the first one is, what is the best way to save for college? We have 6 kids.
Woo, get fired up. 6 kids, best way to save for college. Well, it's no different than a family with 2 or 1 kid, and that is a 529. A 529 college savings plan is the best way to save for that in a tax-efficient manner. Takes advantage of compound interest through investments. The growth is tax-free as long as it's used for qualified educational expenses. So I recommend a 529. If your state does not have a 529, I recommend using another state's 529. The most popular one in the nation is Virginia's College Choice 529 plan. It's administered by the Capital Management Group, also known as American Funds. And so that's what I would encourage you to do. Other ways that people have done this, especially larger families, is start a business. That becomes very profitable, and use the profits from the business to help fund it. Other ways that I've seen people do it is they purchase a rental house for each child as the child is born, and they name it after their child. And their hope is, maybe they generate a little cash flow along the way, but they put it on a 15-year mortgage. And that 15-year mortgage is paid off as that child gets into high school, and then they can either sell the house and use it to fund the college, or they can take cash out of it with a cash out refinance and use it to pay for the college, but they get to keep the asset as it pays itself off again. Yeah. So those are different ideas.
All right. The next one is, I'm preparing a budget for the first time. What's your recommended budget breakdown by percentage? So maybe saving, expenses, etc.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's a great question. I always say give, save, invest, plan the rest. So I always say 10% for the first 3, give, save, invest. If you could do 10%. Now, our ladder, adjust that based on where you're at in your money journey. So I really encourage you to look at the ladder. But a rough thing for somebody living a fully funded life would be to have 10% going to giving, 10% to saving. But once savings is topped up, like you've reached your emergency fund goal, then that 10% would roll over to the 10% to investing, at least 20% going to investing. Of course, rung number 6 of our ladder is 15%. Rung 8 after you pay off your house is 30%. Okay, so I don't know if that's clarifying it. A house payment, taxes and insurance included, should not exceed 25% of your take-home pay. And if you look at all debt payments, of course, it ideally would not exceed 43% of your take-home pay. So that's your food costs are around 20% of your take-home pay. So we'll have a list of the recommended percentages or the average percentages in a well-balanced budget that we'll list there. We can pull that from our coaching manual. When we train coaches, we give that as a list.
Yep.
Great.
All right. The next question is, maybe this is personal.
Yeah.
Or you can use it as a whole. But what day of the month do you do your budget?
I do my budget 1 or 2 days before the month begins. The reason being is we get paid on the first of the month or the last day of the month, really. And so that's when I plan it. And so I remember there was a day where I got paid once a month back when I was in corporate America, and it was on the 15th every month. And so I would actually do my budget on like the 13th. So I would say 1 or 2 days before your monthly budget cycle begins would be the ideal time. Why? Because you will have the most good information about what's coming ahead for the month the closer you are to the rest of the month. So if you do it a whole month ahead, if you do it 4 months ahead, you're unlikely to know really good.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're the same.
Yeah.
Try to do it a couple days before. Definitely do it before the month begins. But a couple days before, I feel like then okay, we're wrapping up this month. Okay, was there anything?
What's a budget meeting for Jordan and Megan Hibbard look like? Is it at the kitchen table? Do you put it together and then say, hey, come over here and look at this?
Jordan does the majority of, he takes the lead on that. So he was a finance major. So he loves finances probably more than me, which is, if you can believe. But it's he loves it. So we have the conversation. And right now, just in this season of life we're in, things are crazy. So it's usually in the living room.
Staring at the laptop?
Yeah, or he has a lot of it on his phone, or you're looking at it, asking questions, trying to make sure is there anything we're forgetting this month? Is there anything we're not?
I think this is an age thing. I cannot get the whole picture on my phone. Yeah. It's just too little, and so I've got to have it on a big screen. Is what I've got to see it on. Yeah. That's good.
All right. So the next one: how far out of debt do you need to be before you start tithing if you're already living paycheck to paycheck?
Tithing, let's explain that for those who may not know. Tithing means returning of the first 10% that you earn towards the place where you're fed spiritually, towards the church, the temple. And it is a pre-law thing in the Old Testament. It's during the law, and it's post-law. Jesus affirmed it in Matthew 23:23. I've looked high and low in the Bible, and nowhere does it say, start tithing once you're debt free. And so how far out of debt do you need to be before you start tithing? You got to start where you're at. And I know many people would press back on that, but you either believe God's word is true or not. Yeah. I mean, that's just a fundamental fact. And God's word will not be mocked. And it says that you should give, in Malachi 3:10 through 12, it talks about there's a promise that when you bring the whole tithe in the storehouse, the Lord says, test me in this, see if not throw open the floodgates. Luke 6:38 says, give and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall be poured in your lap, that for with the same measure you use, will be measured back to you. We see 2 Corinthians chapters 8 and 9 about giving. Verse 6 of chapter 9 says, remember this, whoever sows sparingly will reap sparingly. Whoever sows generously will reap generously. That's about investing through giving. So, I would just encourage you, hey, put the Lord to the test. This is not Joe. You're not testing Megan. You're testing the Lord. And I know that when I made the commitment to tithe, I had a bunch of debt. But I just said, that's it. We're going to do this. This is a decision. I have made up my mind. And you have to have a made up mind. And I just said, I'm going to honor the Lord in this. This is something that I believe the word, so I'm going to do it. Yeah. I've never looked back. Yeah. I encourage them to test him.
I think it's a heart issue too, of there's always going to be something else. So maybe you get out of debt and there's always going to be, but I need to save for this, or our family's going on this trip and we need to have the money for that. But I think there's this moment when you trust the Lord and you take that step when it might not make sense to everybody else, that the Lord blesses that and says, watch me throw open the floodgates and see what happens. Yeah. It's a great moment.
It's a heart issue, and it ties to a trust issue. Do you trust the Lord? Do you trust his word or not?
Yeah.
So I say, I think you can trust him. I know you can.
Yeah.
So I dare you to test him. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
We've always had a mentor to us say well, do you want the Lord to bless this part? So you have income coming in, do you want the Lord to bless that by giving? Do you want blessings on that? And it's like, well, yeah, I definitely do.
The phrase I've heard that's been very powerful that ties with that is, how can I stand at the foot of a bloodstained cross and say, what is the least I could give?
Yeah.
Ugh. Oof. Pretty powerful.
Yep. All right. So the next one, I'm over 60. Is it still possible to clear debt and save money for a fully funded life?
Absolutely. I get this so much. So many people, man, they've managed to spend it all. And many of them have had confounding issues in their life, illnesses, relationship separations, divorces, problem adult children, bailing them out of one issue after another, raising their grandchildren. There's lots of issues. And as a result, this question is one of hope. Is there hope for me? And the question is responded with, absolutely there's hope.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to be very serious about it. And you're going to have to get laser focused, and you're going to have really well-defined boundaries in your life as to what your money is going to be utilized for. And so if you're having issues such as I have described here, and you're having issues saying no to grown children, you're having issues with saying no to other people who constantly are kind of working you for money, you need to buy a book from Dr. Henry Cloud called Boundaries, and maybe the book called Necessary Endings, and call a necessary ending to, unproductive spending behavior, so that you've got to look out for you. Listen, all these people that, have spent all their money, when they go look back it over and where their money went, they can look at it and say, I shouldn't have done that. That shouldn't have happened. I should have prioritized this. I could have contributed to my retirement plan, but back then I felt like I couldn't. But their feelings lied to them. Yeah. So I would tell you, the good news is God doesn't just do math by addition. He does it by multiplication. But the greatest thing you can do is to make the decision to decide, today is the day things change. You've lived this way for maybe 40 years, your working lifetime. I'm over 60. So I'm saying from 20 to 60, it's 40 years. Hey, what are you going to do for this final act of your life, this next 20 or 30 years? Let's say the Lord gets you to 100 with the next 40 years. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. The next question. Should you go over the percentage of your company match?
Well, if you're on rung number 6, you should. Yes. Rung number 6 is 15% of your gross income, regardless of the match. But it doesn't necessarily need to go into your company retirement plan. If your company retirement plan has unnecessary fees or poor investment choices, it may make sense to contribute enough to get the match and then take the extra percentage and put it into your own personal Roth IRA or regular IRA at an organization like Schwab or Fidelity or Vanguard, where you like the investment choices available to you better. But yes, absolutely. Get after it. If you're on rung 6, 15%, rung 8, 30%. You won't regret it.
All right. The next one. Would you suggest, that we kind of touched on this earlier, would you suggest shopping for 529s from other states? Is there an advantage to staying in state?
The advantage of staying in state for states with state income taxes is that you can deduct the contribution from your state income taxes. I am invested in South Carolina's Future Scholar 529 plan because I'm a resident of the state of South Carolina. As a result, a certain percent or a certain amount, dollar-wise, of contributions per child can be deducted from my state income taxes. Can't be deducted from my federal income taxes, but they can be deducted from my state income taxes. So yes, the tax advantages are real if you have state income taxes. If you don't have those, well then, hey, invest in another state's 529. You can use 529 money for any accredited college in the U.S. 50 states or its territories. You can also use it for K through 12 private school tuition, which is really important. So things to think about.
Yeah. All right. The next one. When you look into franchises, what 3 things should I look into first?
Oh, I like this question. This is a good question. Yeah. And we're going to wrap it up with this one? Okay, great. So when you look into franchises, what 3 things should I look into first? Number 1, for me, these are just Joe Sangle's rules. Does it require me to be present daily or nearly daily? For some people, that's okay with them. For me, I'm not okay with that. I need to be able to be an absentee owner.
Yeah.
You know, will I have oversight? Absolutely. Will I be paying attention? Absolutely. But do I want to be there on the daily or nearly daily? No. Chick-fil-A franchise operators have to be there on the daily. And that's great. And that's their franchise model. And we would all agree they've done very, very well. Mm-hmm. It can be very lucrative for an operator, but that's not for me. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't commit my time to that. That's not something I'm willing to do. So the second thing is, what is the franchise fee and what do I get for that fee? So how much does it cost me to purchase a franchise and what am I offered in return from that? That franchise fee is the initial fee, and then what are my ongoing costs? So there's a lot of times a buy-in fee, but then there's a percentage of revenue that has to be contributed to the house, so to speak. What do I get for that? Do I get are they guaranteeing a certain regional or national marketing budget, you know, where there'll be advertising? Will they train my team? Will they help me, assist me with location services? Will they provide the financial software, the point of sale software systems, whatever that is? Will they provide the accounting? I don't know. And then the third thing that I'm looking at it is, you know, do I believe that will this franchise allow me to have multiple ownership? In other words, can I own more than one? Because if I'm going to learn a system and get good at it, I probably want to be able to add to that position. You know, Papa John's, Peyton Manning had a big position with them. I know, I think Shaq now has a big position with them. I think Drew Brees, Purdue quarterback, played for New Orleans Saints, Hall of Famer. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has a franchise with Walk-Ons, I think it's called, and it's kind of a go watch sports entertainment type bar restaurant combined. And so he's a big time franchise owner within that franchise. So those are the three things I would look at. A simple Google search and a couple phone calls or emails and a downloading of their pitch deck. You'll probably have the answer to those three questions and be on your way.
Yeah, it's good. So if there's other questions that you guys can think of that we haven't asked, feel free to send those in. You can email us at info@iwbnin.com or info@fullyfunded.life.
If you're watching it on YouTube, of course, or on Facebook, you can leave your question there. Mm-hmm. And remember, our team will see that and we'll do our best to get you an answer. Hey, if you like this podcast, will you take it and share it with your friends and family? The greatest thing you could do, the greatest honor for us is that you would share it with those that you love the most. You can just simply like it. You can share it, leave a comment. That's how the algorithms help others discover it. And that's how this podcast has grown. We're so excited, you know, to be able to serve you guys each and every week. We do this for you and for your success, for your fully funded life. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.